Hey guys, it's Moose. So I thought it'd be kind of cool this week to share with you a little recipe that will allow you to have not only creative control, but also the ability to control the brightness. Now, see, when you shoot in auto mode, the camera has no idea the sort of creative look that you're going for. It also doesn't really allow you to control the amount of brightness. So if your subject is kind of dark, you're kind of stuck and you're kind of unsure about how to brighten up the photo. So I'm going to show you how to do both using something called Aperture Priority mode. Now, in Aperture Priority mode, we're in control of the aperture. It's sort of the creative element to tell the camera, hey, we want to blur the background in this shot, or hey, we want everything in focus. And then the camera is going to take care of the shutter speed and the ISO so that we can get that nice shot. So to do this, all we have to do is put our camera into Aperture Priority mode. So if you have a Nikon camera, it's the letter A, and if you have a Canon camera, it's the letter AV. Now in Aperture Priority mode, all we have to do is find this little dial, it could be on the front or back of your camera, and if we rotate that, we can adjust the aperture. So I can select a higher aperture f number here, right, maybe f11, and that's really good for when we want to put everything in focus. So higher aperture f numbers put more of the scene into focus, which is really great for landscapes or maybe product photography where we want everything really nice and sharp. Now the flip side to that is when we want to blur the background, and in that case we want to select a very low aperture f number, and lower the better. And it all really depends on the type of lens you're using. So right now I've got a 50mm f1.8, so the lowest aperture I can get to is f1.8. Now, with that in place, we also need to make sure that the camera has the ISO set to auto. So this is going to vary depending on the camera that you have, but just make sure that the ISO is set to auto because again, we want the camera to choose the shutter speed and the ISO. We just want to be in control of that aperture. All right, so with that all kind of set up and ready to go, in this example, I'm going to take a picture of a toy car, okay? And I want to blur the background. So I'm going to choose a low aperture f number to do that. So right now I've got it set to f1.8. I'm going to run around this table here and take a quick picture so that you guys can see what this looks like. Okay. So things are looking really good in terms of the background blur, but we've got another problem. The toy car is just way too dark. We need to brighten it up. So now it's time for the secret ingredient, and that is exposure compensation. Now I know that sounds really geeky and highly technical, but it's really, really simple to do. So on your camera, try to find this little plus minus button. That's the exposure compensation button. And if we push that, we can rotate the same command dial or main dial that we use to adjust the aperture. And if I choose a positive exposure compensation, it's going to brighten up the subject or the scene. And if I choose a negative exposure compensation, it's going to darken the subject or scene. So in this case, I want to brighten up the toy car. So I'm going to choose exposure compensation around +2, and we're going to give this a shot. And put this car back here. I'm going to run around the table, take another test shot, so you guys can see what this looks like. Okay, wow, this is looking awesome. So not only do we have that nice background blur, but now everything is nice and bright and colorful. It's exactly the type of shot I was going for. So as you can see, this is really simple to do. If you guys have any questions about Aperture Priority on your camera or trying to figure out how to use it, please just leave a question in the comments below. I'd be happy to help. So until next time, hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Happy shooting.